But reading, writing, speaking, and listening needs to be used science, social studies, language arts. It doesn't need to be put on one teacher or one subject area. I feel like it's really important for kids to speak and listen to each other, and they got to know how to listen, not just sitting there and pretending to look at the person, but giving them eye contact, fully listening, and being able to repeat back what someone else has said. Reading and writing, incorporating it with every text, whether it be nonfiction, fiction, for using it in science with a textbook. Some of those texts are really hard for kids to understand. These strategies help break it down so that they can understand it.
The Adolescent Literacy Model from the Collaborative for Teaching and Learning guides and supports school teams as they transition to an authentically comprehensive approach to literacy. Through experiential training, ongoing job-embedded coaching, and the development of strategic literacy leaders in each school, we are able to transform the student experience, not just in a single discipline or classroom, but across a student's entire day. As strategies are mastered in one context and applied in others, ALM students truly come to understand that literacy is how we learn.
These tools, I think, have helped us shift our teachers' thought process from literacy as like what we're reading or what we're writing or what we're talking about to reading and writing and speaking and listening are how we're going to teach and learn our content. And it's a long shift. It's not a quick shift. But I think when you take this huge sort of pedagogical, philosophical, whatever shift of literacy as a how, not a what, and pair it with very concrete, easy to use, easy to apply to your teaching strategies, you give teachers an access point. And to me, that has been the biggest shift. It's getting to that larger piece in very small scaffolded steps. And that has just been incredibly powerful for us.
The Adolescent Literacy Model equips school teams with a common understanding of literacy and a common language for instructional design. As students master a core set of instructional routines for reading, writing, listening, speaking, and attending to the vocabulary of a discipline, Tier 1 instruction becomes accessible for all. Students are no longer left grappling with new processes with every class period, but can spend their effort and energy grappling with content. As both educators and students approach literacy skills as learning skills, not only does intentional integration of literacy have purpose in all subject areas, the learning experience begins to change. Increased student-to-student collaboration, increased student voice, varied demonstrations of content understanding, and more. These characteristics are the hallmarks of ALM schools.
I think the summer foundations training is the most intentional, scaffolded, useful professional learning experience that I could give a teacher. You get to learn about sort of the philosophy of why we should focus on literacy as a how, as sort of the underlying current of everything we do, while also practicing the strategies that you're going to then use as tools with your own kids. And so you get to practice everything that you're going to end up using in a way that also helps you better understand why we're doing what we're doing.
The ALM model is anchored in 4 pillars that help to ensure this comprehensive approach to literacy and instruction becomes the norm in all classrooms for years to come. Through intensive and immersive foundational professional learning, teachers grow in their own understanding of literacy by experiencing the same tools and strategies they will use in their own classrooms. Because ALM develops the understanding that literacy is how you learn rather than what you learn, educators of any and all disciplines become willing to reflect and refine their approach to instructional design. CTL tailors follow-up support to develop comprehensive literacy leaders. Identified teachers, school and district instructional coaches, and administrators are invited to work side by side with ALM specialists as they explore and apply professional learning routines, practices and protocols most impactful for their teachers, and ultimately, students.
The trust that it built within our faculty to have a conversation that is not attacking anyone personally, but it truly is developing us to be better. It gave us a framework for having those conversations, and it created that whole concept of a safe space. Now, we try to do that as instructional leaders. After going through all of that and having all of that experience, it's like, okay, it wasn't so bad. And so the more you do that and take them through that, it just becomes, oh, this is just how we do school. And ultimately, that's what we wanted out of this. You know, when the circle grant is gone, all that's all over with, we have really changed how we do things in a positive way.
CTL's adolescent literacy model has been shown to impact teacher practice and student learning. When coupled with our Artful Reading Pre-K and Artful Reading Elementary programs, CTL helps districts provide a consistent approach to literacy for students of every age.
Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to get to know the adolescent literacy model from CTL. My name is Emily Wilson. I'm joined by my colleague, Mindy Curlis. We'd like to take just a couple more minutes of your time to address some things specific to the KyCL grant and what ALM could look like in front of that. So we'll let Mindy kick it off with a question we think some of you might be pondering.
Okay, Emily. So let's say I'm the principal of a school ready to adopt the adolescent literacy model. What will that look like for me and my teachers?
That's a great question, right? Like, what would you communicate to your teachers? So to your cohort 1 teachers, you would be communicating to them that the folks at CTL are going to come to the school to support them in this work for the long term. So the first sort of major touch point is an immersive foundation training experience for your teachers. That's typically a 3-day in-person experience. We also offer a really well-received blended online experience. But that really sort of sets the stage and gives teachers an access point to get started in the work of integrating literacy no matter what their content area. And then beyond that, sort of during the school year, your ALM specialist from CTL would be present in the school, meeting with teachers virtually, but engaging in cycles of support through coaching, bringing together cross-discipline and like-discipline teams to plan together, analyze student work together. It really is hands-on, so they've got that big experience to like kick things off, but then it's regular support and coaching throughout the year.
Okay, so let's say I have a literacy coach in my building. What would be their role in this?
Yeah, so we would coach alongside them. We consider it a part of our work to build the capacity, not just of the cohort teachers, but also of those who are leading the work. So in this case, a coach. So when we come to engage in those cycles of support with teachers, we do that alongside your instructional coach. We build their capacity to lead your school's literacy leadership team so that they can carry the torch on a daily basis, right? We're not there every day, but they certainly are, or more frequently. And then we also offer for those coaches an opportunity to come together with other coaches involved in our work from across the state. So that's a regular like once every 6 to 8 weeks convening of coaches from across the state. We bring them together to build them in their capacity, both in terms of ALM and comprehensive literacy, but also just in best practice in coaching and leading adults.
Okay.
I think, we've all had the experience, Mindy, of going to a training or a new initiative coming and being very excited about the good quality work that it brings to our building, but also then sort of seeing it fizzle over time as we revert to sort of old habits. So I think some people are probably wondering, how would this be different? How will CTL through the ALM make sure that this comprehensive approach to literacy lasts beyond the life of the grant? What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question everybody should always be asking. And I would say that we build the capacity strategically. And what I mean by that is we support the schools as they make their strategic choices. So it's things like the selection of the cohort 1 teachers, developing that literacy leadership team, whether to participate in the coaches cadre, as you mentioned just now. And then we also, try to use the existing school structures and schedules so that the collaboration happens naturally and more effectively. And then another thing is the job embedded coaching is very responsive to how things roll out. So things, and we, as you mentioned, honor each discipline, but this is real-time responsiveness to the participants' needs so that they're growing and able to really make that shift into supporting literacy skill development across the school.
I think we're very intentional about ensuring that we are using literacy and integrating it into existing structures, curriculum, and disciplines, as opposed to literacy being something apart, separate, or different, right?
Yes, that's really the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when that shift happens, then you've made that leap. I mean, it is sustainable because everybody gets it,
Yeah,
and they believe it, and they're excited about it.
sure. Well, I'm sure you all have many other questions of us, so please reach out. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video and listen to our conversation. We hope that we've answered most of your questions. I will say sort of our number one goal is to see your school, your teachers, your students be successful inside of this work. And so we'd love to have a conversation with you to see how we can get started doing that. Anywho, have a wonderful day. We look forward to speaking with you soon.
We look forward to speaking with you about how we can help address the literacy needs of your district. Learn more about us at ctlonline.org or contact us at 502-895-9500.